to a lot of things. I'm allergic to all nuts that grow on trees, so tree nuts, which for me includes coconut, even though technically speaking that's not really a nut. I'm also allergic to chickpeas, which I found out the hard way in Israel. And I'm allergic to sesame seed. And I used to be intolerant to soy. Point is, my life is a lot of things I can't eat. And he is going to make a pesto for me, so that I can have pesto. Because I've been told it's very good.
Today, we're making pesto. I have fond memories of eating a lot of pesto as a child. I did not even know it had nuts in it until I was like, oh, I'll make pesto. And Becca's like, no, we can't have pesto. Then I looked up the recipe and realized why. So we found variations, and probably the best one we've come up with is just don't put in pine nuts. Just don't do it. So we're gonna make that today.
So what does it consist of instead?
It's mostly basil. We're gonna basically use this entire thing of basil. Then we've got our garlic. Recipe calls for 1 clove, so as an Italian, I'm using 5. Olive oil, pepper and salt to taste, and there are different cheeses, but we're doing a Parmesan Romano.
Nice.
You'll see different cheeses called for depending on the fanciness of the recipe. We're going Parmesan Romano because that's what's in our kitchen, and I wasn't going to go special cheese shopping. We also have our farfalle pasta. We're just getting this up to a boil. We'll dunk this in and get it cooking. Yeah. For pesto, you want a noodle that will hold a lot of it. So you want either the screw looking noodle or something with a lot of surface area and little pockets for the pesto to get caught in.
A pasta for the sauce rather than the other way around.
Exactly. Chop a lot of basil. In fact, I can just rip this. I don't have to cut. Just get the leaves. Don't be dainty about it.
Going in a blender.
Yep. Love the smell when you're doing this too. I don't know what it is about basil, but it's just so delicious. And
we have been growing basil, but not this much.
Right. We have our tray of basil just wasn't it wasn't thriving.
Right.
We did have some basil seeds in the box garden that popped up. So we did end up transplanting our basil to the box garden where it's doing a lot better, but it's still not, it doesn't look like this yet.
I move the pants out of your face. You help move the pants out of your face.
Yes!
No! Not all our work. See, we don't have that problem when I'm the one in front of the camera because I'm so much lower than the pans and pots.
Yeah. Well, that's why we hung it up here, because there's downstairs, this ceiling's just a little lower than the rest of the house, so we have that lamp that I constantly just bump my forehead on, and that's as high as it goes.
Yeah. Which is fine when the table is pulled out, then it's a nice...
when we're entertaining, it's great.
Yeah, it's a nice piece above the table, but when it's pushed against the wall, your head.
And our water is boiling, so in goes the farfalle. Sink it down in. Being an herbivore. Although pesto chicken, magnificent.
How much? I mean, you're just filling it?
Well, it's a tightly packed cup, so at least one more of these sprigs, but I'll probably use the whole... Oh, they left a flower in here.
Oh.
You're not supposed to eat the flowers.
Can we plant it?
Actually, most of these sprigs we might be able to transplant.
That'd be cool.
When you're doing... You don't want to leave big leaves on. You want to trim it down to the small leaves and then just stick it in some moist dirt. And if it pops up small leaves, pretty soon there'll be big leaves. And that's how you do that.
Yep.
So
it's getting excited.
Originally, when we were looking up recipes for this, because I wanted to see if there's like... I assumed that the pine nuts were there for a reason. So I looked up like substitutions for pine nuts and pesto. And every single recipe is like, use walnuts or almonds instead. And I'm like, you're missing the point of why I need a substitution.
Yeah. No nuts.
So.
Like no cakes.
Finally I ran across enough like food places that are just like, just don't use the pine nuts. They're unnecessary. I'm sure they had something, but it's nothing that I'm going to add back in by using like a bean instead.
Yeah, you thought about white beans. We thought about the beans from our garden.
We thought about green beans to keep that spring, like, crunchy flavor. We thought about cannelli beans for just the texture.
Yeah. But ultimately, can be without bean.
Yeah, don't need bean.
Beanless.
Boop. A little olive oil. And here's where we replace it with royalty-free music. Finely chopped.
Well, part of it.
And chop.
And again.
It's a process. That's why it's a food processor. Back in there, I say. It's happening. It's just slow because there's not. Like when making a milkshake or something, you get a whirlpool going. You don't have to get in there. Like these are tiny light leaves. There's nothing to keep them down.
No.
If they want to get up away from the blades, we have a. Not the most industrial of food processors.
That's true.
There are food people that we watch, and they have much bigger, better, more complicated blenders. And we basically have like a leftover from one of our parents' houses.
We love this guy, though.
He's working. He makes great milkshakes.
It's true.
Chop. So, the recipe calls for pepper. I also like putting a little white pepper in. Not a lot, just a little bit. It brings a little bit of a nice heat.
What's the difference?
It's hard to describe. Like pepper has like a quick punch of flavor, whereas white pepper has more of a slow burn of flavor. It's a jab versus a poke.
All right. Probably. All right. So what?
So when we put this up, we should probably have like measurements and stuff. Like
I was wondering about that.
You want 1 tightly packed cup of basil leaves. You want the salt and pepper to taste. You want 1 to 5 cloves of garlic, and then how much cheese? I'm professional.
No, don't lie to the people.
3 tablespoons of cheese.
Okay.
1 of the Romano. And the other is going to be all Parmesan. So the other 4 are Parmesan. One.
2.
2. That's both our brains went to that commercial.
Of course.
3. 4.
Why does the naked boy ask both a turtle and an owl about a lollipop?
The worst part is, the first part of that commercial is a complete waste of time, because first half of the commercial is the boy going up to a turtle and being like, "Hey turtle, I have a question." And the turtle's like, "Fuck off and bother someone else."
A specific person?
Yeah. That's half of your lollipop commercial is just, I don't know, go talk to someone else. Like someone was in a meeting and they're just like, "He'll go ask Mr. Owl," and someone's like, wait. We need to introduce Mr. Owl before we show him on screen. Otherwise, children will be confused about the cartoon owl. Where does he come from? What does he stand for?
Is the idea that the owls should know because owls are supposed to know all things? Specious?
Do owls know all things?
They're known to be wise, whether they are or not.
So it's just animal racism?
Yeah.
Just owls are good at math.
Yeah, you know. Smells good.
Yeah,
Continues to smell good.
We got a good pesto going. This is the problem with me doing recipes, though, is in the kitchen, though, I just eyeball shit.
And then after the fact, oh, here's what you do instead.
Here's the recipe I based this on. The pasta's done. Pesto's done. The hard part now is just, I'm probably going to have to disassemble this to get it all out because it comes out very... But we're We're going to put our pasta in a bowl. We're going to put the pesto in mixed up, and we'll show you the final product.
Woo. So is it semen pesto-y?
Yeah, the pesto tends to clump, so you got to stir it a bunch. But you can see there's some pasta, like as the pesto's getting around, it's taking on a green tint, and that's exactly what you want to see. Basically, it'll dye the pasta green, and that's how you know everything's coated, is if you don't have any originally colored pasta left.
Mm.
Yeah, see? That's a good splay. That's a good mix. This needs a little more stirring around. Maybe a dab more pesto. Nope, there's pesto in there. See? It tends to clump. So you want to make sure you really mix it.
Mm.
Really squish them together. But that's partially why you want these, because you want the basil to get stuck in the nooks.
Right. Become one with the pasta.
Exactly. But that is a bowl of pesto. Do you want to test it and see if you die?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Did I kill Becca with my...
What is this called? Mucky bang? Mukbang?
Well, if you were eating a pound of it, it'd be a mukbang.
Mucky Martin's? Captain America?
This is, if you whisper into the camera, it's ASMR.
I'm not going to do it. No,
Pesto,
I'm not going to do that. Aw.
Pesto, 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 pesto.
No hives?
No highs. I've successfully cooked for my wife and not killed her.
Mm-hmm. Every day, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
No, you'd have to see if it tastes like pesto. Because I've never had pesto, so I don't know what to compare it to.
Well, let's see if this tastes like pesto.
Mm-hmm.
That's pesto.
Cool.
Why are there pine nuts? The pine nuts do nothing.
Like walnuts on brownies.
Which is just like way to ruin the brownies, because now I have shards of like glass I have to chew around or be surprised by.
So what's the reason we use chocolate chips in banana bread instead of nuts?
Because nuts are garbage food.
It's very convenient for me as someone with an allergy that I married with someone who hates the same thing that I can't have.
I don't want to hear anything in the comments about how pistachios are good or almonds are... Nuts are garbage food. They're garbage. They taste like garbage.
I love you. I want you to know this, that I love you.
I love you too. And that's just a taste. If you like nuts, good. Be happy I'm not eating your nuts. That's...
Oh, well, you know what? Rock on.
I memed myself.
Rock on, team.
Rock on, team.
So what were we saying about leftovers?
Well, one thing I wanted to mention is that pesto is one of those foods that tastes better the next day. And if I remember properly, it's because the chopped up leaves will oxidize overnight. So it'll actually have more of a... It'll have a more powerful flavor as a leftover. It's good fresh, but like when you have pesto the next day, it's one of those foods where there is a distinct difference in flavor. Like breakfast pizza is its own food.
Now, do you have your breakfast pizza warm or cold?
Cold.
Alright. I also do.
It's the shake pasta. It's like the shake weight, but makes me look even worse. Do you want your entire body to jiggle in a way that makes you feel awful about yourself? Shake pasta!
And once we eat it, we're not going to be losing weight anymore.
Look at that. But look at how well that mixes it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's... Oh, I'm topping off. We found a lot more pesto at the bottom.
So what about leftovers?
Leftovers, schmeftovers.